Hey guys, Ludicrous here with an achievement guide for Chrono Breach Ultra. This was released on the 30th of June 2023. It was developed by UpsilonGames and published by Ratalaika Games. It can be found in both the Xbox and PlayStation stores for $4.99. However, during launch week it has 20% off. Chrono Breach Ultra is a platform shooter in which you play as a little robot with various time manipulation abilities. The full completion should take you anywhere between 1 to 2 hours depending on your skill rating with platforming games. Unlike other Ratalaika games, this one isn't such a walk in the park, and I found myself dying numerous times at certain checkpoints. There's a total of 18 achievements to get. You'll need to complete the first 2 chapters of the game, defeat 300 enemies which should happen naturally, collect 750 circuits which you'll need to hold in your inventory all at once, so don't spend them. I also found a really good place to farm these near the end of chapter 2, where you'll find 15 beside a checkpoint. I'll pop a timestamp in the description below just to show you where that is. And then finally there's a couple of achievements to mop up at the end for purchasing 3 weapons, purchasing a skin and completing 4 waves on arena mode, which is really easy. So as we jump into the start of the game here, I'm going to quickly talk you through some of the mechanics and the controls. Then after that, I'm going to go quiet and just speak up at the timestamps in the description, such as the boss fights and getting those 750 circuits. So you move around with the left analog stick. You tap RB on the shoulder of the Xbox controller to jump. You can press it twice to double jump. You'll then pick up a dash module, so if you press the left trigger on the Xbox controller, you'll be able to do a dash, which is good from getting through certain traps and lasers and things. As we move into the next room, we'll be given a gun. Just use your right thumbstick to aim. It should automatically start firing once you're aiming if you didn't disable it in the options menu. You'll be then given a couple of targets to shoot. You'll see these drones quite often throughout the game, and when you kill any of the enemies, they will drop 1 circuit. Circuits are used to purchase weapons and skins in the hub. So at any point you can press start and go to the hub if you wanted to spend these, but what we're going to do is hold on to these and try and get the 750. So in this room we're getting the slow-mo module, so if you press left bumper on the Xbox controller, that blue bar at the top is going to use some of your chrono energy. So as long as you've got plenty of energy in the top left, you can spam left bumper as much as you need to slow down those bullets and enemies, trying your best to avoid their oncoming fire. The green bar is obviously your health. If you do pick up some circuits, it does restore a little bit of health, and then eventually you'll reach a checkpoint which will completely restore all of your health. And don't worry too much about dying. You do seem to have infinite lives. You just keep returning back to the previous checkpoint until you get to the next one. There's one final ability, which is kind of an ultimate, which pauses or stops time. So if you check in the top left, there's a little blue circle there. Every time you kill an enemy and pick up a circuit, this charges up. Once it's bright blue, like it is there on the screen, what you can do is press Y. That's going to completely pause time. It'll stop any bullets coming towards you so you can maneuver out the way. But however, any bullets you fire will also be frozen in time. So once it wears off, all those bullets will be released, and if you were aiming at an enemy while firing them, they'll all go in that direction you fired and hopefully kill the enemy. There is 2 boss encounters at the end of each of the chapters. These are relatively straightforward. I didn't really have any issues with them. However, the second boss on chapter 2 is a little bit tricky to work out where his weak spot is. So again, in the timestamps, I'll just quickly give you a quick description as we get to the boss fight. The controls are a little bit tricky to master, so slowing down time, dashing, that kind of thing, and they're on kind of weird buttons. I'm not used to using the shoulder buttons to jump, for example. But once you've mastered the controls and the buttons, you should then freely go through the game and hopefully get it completed within 1 to 2 hours. I'm now going to go quiet on the narration. Again, I did put timestamps in the description below, and at those timestamps I will give you a little bit of a description on what's going on and how to best kill the bosses. So if you found this video at all useful, please drop me a like. If you want to see more content from myself, please do subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. So as we approach the end of chapter 1 here, we'll come into a boss room with a megacopter. It is a huge room in here, and I found just hugging this left wall and standing on these platforms worked a charm. I think the intention is that you drop into the middle of the room and you're fighting this thing, but I found standing on these two platforms was a piece of cake, really. Eventually he starts shooting bullets in your direction, but just keep jumping up and down between the platforms. Again, you can use left bumper to slow down time if required, but I found it wasn't really necessary, and this boss fight was dealt with very easily, and maybe I got hit once or twice during the full encounter. Once he's dead, he'll drop a load of circuits. At the very end of his sequence here, he'll start spawning in little bots, but once you kill him, they all die off, and then you can freely go and pick up all the circuits. This will then move us into chapter 2. As we're transitioning into the chapter, we'll go through the hub section. This is where you can purchase weapons and skins with the circuits you picked up. Here it's entirely up to you what you want to do. In this example in the video, I'm going to purchase a machine gun, which is going to help me deal with some of the enemy encounters in chapter 2. It's not really necessary, it's just going to give me an extra 100 circuits that I need to grind out once we get to that farming spot, but it's entirely up to you. I'd personally recommend buying the machine gun just to get you through chapter 2 and spend that extra 5 to 10 minutes grinding those 100 circuits out. Once I bought the auto rifle here, what I then do is go up to the skin terminal to purchase a skin. Again, this is going to use up some of those circuits that you need to hold on to, so I suggest holding back on buying the skin and wait till you finish chapter 2 when you'll return back to the hub. You'll have the full 750 circuits as well, and then buy the skin then. It'll just save you a little bit of time grinding those out during chapter 2. So there we go, I've purchased the auto rifle for 100, it's dropped me down to 90, and I'm buying the skin for 25. Again, I wouldn't suggest buying the skin until the second chapter is complete. Once those are purchased, we're then just going to jump on the continue tab here. Going up the lift just allows you to replay some of the chapters. So chapter 2, very similar to chapter 1, same enemy types, you just get a couple of additional traps and things added. And then once you reach the end of chapter 2, it's another boss fight which will start speaking up again. So as we move into this next room near the end of chapter 2, we're just a couple of rooms away from the final boss fight, but this is where I'm going to utilize a little bit of a farming technique to collect all these circuits. So from the checkpoint, just drop down the center, avoid all the turrets, we don't need to kill those, and then what we need to do is kill all 3 enemies in this room. These guys with the kind of automatic fire, a little bit tricky, but just use your abilities to slow down time and get them killed. I am rushing things here for the video and I was near the end of my farm, but there is a total of 15 circuits that you can get here. Then once you pick those up, just head out down to where the turrets are, get yourself killed, and of course you'll go back to the checkpoint. And then it's just a case of rinse and repeat in this technique until you've got the full 750 in your inventory, and it should pop the achievement. Again, depending on how many circuits you've picked up to this point and the amount of times you've died and replayed previous checkpoints, you would have had different amount of circuits to everybody else. So the time this is going to take to grind out varies, but for me it was around 15 to 20 minutes to grind out the full 750. So all I'm doing is dropping down the little middle shaft, going to the room on the left, killing the 3 enemies, and picking up all the circuits in that room, and then getting myself killed. So this is kind of the final run here where I'm going to pick up the last 15 that I need for the achievement. I did try multiple areas of grinding this out and I did find this the best location. I also went through and completed chapter 3, which is not necessary for the completion, but I went through to see if there was any quick way of getting circuits on there, but this was probably the best. There's also some circuits dropped in the arena, but those only drop when you kill the enemies, and I found this the most efficient method of doing that. Once you've got the 750, what you could do is press start, go to the hub, purchase those 3 weapons that you need, and the skin, and then get those achievements out the way. However, in this video, I'm now just going to cut it back to some earlier footage where I only got 300 circuits, and then we're going to proceed on to the second boss, get him cleared out, and then clear up the last couple of achievements. So we're now going to move into the boss room here at the end of chapter 2. The boss here is a hydraulic press. So he's going to move left and right along the ceiling here, and every so often he's going to slam down. What you need to do is just make sure you get out of the way and don't get slammed. There's a turret on either side of the room at each end. You can kill these to drop a little bit of circuitry, which is going to charge up your abilities as well as heal you slightly. Eventually the little mice-like creatures will come out the pipes on the left and right. However, the hydraulic press will crush them if it does land on them. So the weak spot here for the boss is on the very top of the hydraulic press. So where the little red button is flashing, that appears to be the only weak spot. And the only way to damage it is get on top of the press and shoot it from above. So I found the best method to do damage, or at least kill the boss, is to keep spamming your Y ability, which is the stop time. So when the hydraulic press comes down and hits the floor, you then press Y. This is going to freeze time and give you a couple of seconds to jump on the top of it and shoot down directly on the top. This is going to take you probably 6 or 7 attempts to get the health completely down. Once you've been kicked off, it's just a case of farming some circuits to charge up your special ability again. So kill the turrets, kill the mice, and then once your ability is charged up, wait for the press to come down, press Y again to pause time, and then shoot it at the top. What I didn't have here in my possession was like a splash damage weapon, such as a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher. I have a feeling if you hit him anywhere near the button with the rocket launcher, the splash damage would probably do damage to the button as well. But in the end, it didn't take me too long, just grind it out this way. And if you do die, you will return to the checkpoint just before this, so you can have as many attempts as you want until you've cracked it. Once he's dead, you're going to be kicked back to the hub where you're going to purchase those weapons and skins if you haven't already done so. And then I'll speak up again with our final little bit of narration once we get to that part. So now we move back into the hub, transitioning into chapter 3. Get the achievement obviously for finishing chapter 2. Going to the weapon station here, and I've got my 750 circuits, which I've not yet spent. What you need to do here is buy 3 weapons. So don't go for the really expensive ones because you're going to use up your circuits. Just buy some of the cheaper ones for around 200. And then once you've bought 3 of those, the achievement should pop. And then once we've got that achievement, we can then move on to the skin vendor in the top there and buy a skin if you haven't yet done so. Now that we've completed chapter 2, we've actually opened up the arena. So instead of going across here, there's now a lift that goes down. This will take you to the arena. And all we need to do here is complete 4 waves. The waves just consist of a couple of enemies. And the first 4 is really easy. If you've completed chapter 2, this is going to be a walk in the park. So the first wave here has probably got 4 or 5 enemies. And then it scales a little bit, adding 1 or 2, but nothing too difficult. By the time you get to wave 4, they've added one of those electricity robots, which are a little bit of a pain. But you should be a master at killing those by now. Once you've completed the 4 waves, obviously the achievements will pop and you will get the full 1000 gamer score. If you have used this guide to its fullest and jumped to the timestamps, big thank you to you. Thank you for doing that. And I will catch you in the next video.